All right, welcome to the World Team League. As we have here at the bottom left, our blue Zerg, Scarlett.
And her opponent in the top right, it is our red Protoss. From Alpha X, it is Zoun.
Alrighty, so it's going to be a ZVP to start off this series. And both of these teams are kind of nearing the end, as this is going to be the round of 10. There's a total of 11 rounds in the regular season, so pretty much both of these teams are just trying to put themselves in the best position heading into the playoffs. Oh, it looks like Scarlett will go ahead and take the other base, as there is going to be a pro block here from Zoun.
Yeah, that's going to be pretty interesting because in between the main and that third base, you have to go onto the low ground. Of course, these are the new maps from, I believe, from ESL. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see how these players interact. So far, nothing too out of the ordinary from both players. We have the hatch first, and then on the other side of the map, we also have the Nexus first build, so nothing cheesy, nothing out of the ordinary just yet.
Yeah, now, normally, these days, Protoss will open up with a Stargate opening versus their Zerg counterpart. I'm wondering if Zoun is going to go ahead and throw down a Stargate. But I could definitely see him opening up with a Twilight and maybe going for some sort of adept, mass adept push, because these bases are quite spread out. He could really abuse the distance between each bases.
Right. You know, sometimes I think that adept shades, they can like really cover some ground, and I always underestimate the amount of distance that they can cover. And it looks like your hunch about Twilight is going to be correct. That is going to be the tech of choice for our red Protoss. It's going to be interesting to see how Scarlett responds. Now, of course, she is well known for her macro. She is well known for a lot of her defense as well. Sometimes she's known to be a little bit greedy, but other times it feels like she is absolutely crushing the defense. So we'll have to wait and see what exactly happens here.
Oh, even adding in that robotics facility, so I'm gonna probably add in a War Prism to go along with these adepts. And first adept gonna make its way into the natural, see what's up, see what Scarlett is planning, and we'll see a pretty relatively normal timing hatchery there.
Alright, so we see Glaive starting up additional gateways as well. That Overlord is on that pillar, so it will be able to tell when exactly, if and when exactly Zoun is going to go out to take a third base. Now is right about the time that you would as a Protoss. You know, you want to take it before 4 minutes, but of course Scarlett does see that the probe has not gone out. Lings are also out on the map ready to force a cancel if they need to, but I'd say right about now is when Scarlett is thinking to herself, there's something kind of, you know, there's something up. I'm about to get attacked by something.
Yeah, you can see that throwing down the Roach Warren. Gonna play it safe. And does have visual of that War Prism, so you see a lot of units in the production tab of Scarlett. Gonna make sure she has enough army to defend against this push. Oh wow, I just realized there's no link speed here. Wait, is there a link speed?
No, there is.
Okay.
Oh,
okay.
that would be crazy. I think that would be game if there wasn't link speed. But yeah, it looks like the first wave of lings is going to be enough to force Zoun to actually reconsider. Looks like he's going to send his adepts on home, and all of a sudden, I mean, just based off of that, he is in a horrible position right now. He is caught without a third base. He's going to have to force some sort of damage with the adepts coming in from the side. At the same time, we do have the War Prism loading up, potentially going into the main base. Okay, so it will start moving in that direction. But the main Adept force only able to take down a couple of drones before shading back out. Warp Prism is going to be forced away. These Adepts are going to potentially complete their shade. No, it looks like they will stand strong over here in the main base, taking down quite a few drones. What is going on?
Yeah.
Wow, that was unexpected.
And Zoun is doing so much damage with only a few Adepts. Now, this is not like an all-in sort of scenario, so getting 13 drones with only just a handful of Adepts, this is going to be bode really well for Zoun. And oh, actually Zoun is not going for a third Nexus. He's not going to macro out of this. He is going for a follow-up Colossus push.
Oh man, this is going to be really interesting to see. Now, I wonder why Zoun completes the shade all the way back at home. Maybe it's because he wants to be as aggressive and defensive as possible, because of course Lings with speed are pretty fast. Maybe Zoun is thinking to himself that he needs the Adepts at home in case the Lings rush across for a counterattack. But look at that, it's going to be Disruptors on the production tab. I believe Warp Prism speed just finished as well. So this is going to be a fascinating all-in. Or, well, I'm not even sure what to call it.
Alright, so the idea is to snipe off those roaches with these Disruptors. And after that, the Adepts just go ham on the rest of the economy of the Zerg. And here we go. Oh my god, no split from Scarlett. Really unusual, as usually she would be pretty on top of it, but that was tough.
I think maybe she wasn't expecting anything to come out of the Warp Prism. She was not expecting the Disruptor. She only expected the Warp Prism to siege up as though it were reinforcing. But look at that, more Disruptor hits. These ones are not going to get quite as much damage. Scarlett is adjusting in real time. You know, she's seeing the Novas come out, and she's realizing that, hey, this is going to be a new factor in this game. This is going to be something that I have to deal with from now on. So she will adjust accordingly, and she is keeping up macro-wise as well. She did lose quite a few drones earlier in the game, but she is making up for it, taking advantage of that Zerg macro mechanic that is Larva.
Yeah, I mean, historically, like you mentioned, I think earlier, Scarlett has been a great macro player, and that.
Wow. Just barely the Disruptors are gonna fire off their shots and not get hit. Okay, looks like the Bailings are gonna be the first to fall. Lings are pulling ahead, and of course Lings do pretty well if you do get a surround. But none of those Adepts have actually fallen. Bane speed did finish, so they will actually be able to roll on forward. But this is just not a good trade for Scarlett. I mean, look at Zoun's supply. He's pulling ahead. Only a couple of probes are going down, and Scarlett has to retreat.
Yeah, Scarlett is now on the run. Zoun's gonna pick off some of these units in the back end. But those two Disruptors come down, still alive. And here we go. Oh my goodness.
The manual cancels, the micro and the counter micro is just beautiful to witness. But still, it's just too much. Zoun is going to take game number 1.
Alright, so a really great game there by Zoun. Was able to deal out some early game damage with the Adept harassment. And was able to follow up with a Disruptor push, which did way more damage than normally, because Scarlett is usually on top of it. She has a great reaction times, really, in the past, and kind of unusual to see her taking so much damage from those Disruptors, but, you know, sometimes it happens.
Yeah, I don't know, she must have been preoccupied. At the same time, Warp Prisms on their own have no reason to trigger an in-game alert to the Zerg player because they're not attacking units. And the same goes for Disruptors because they don't have an attack animation. So I suspect that maybe, you know, Scarlett was assuming that it was just the Warp Prism, no reason to look back at it. But of course that did end up costing her, I'm pretty sure, all of her roaches in that instance. And I mean, couple that with all of the drone losses, and she was not able to keep up. The Ling Bane, I will say, was a good decision. You know, Ling Bane is just great against zealots, against stalkers, that kind of thing, but just not enough. And Zoun was, of course, able to extend his lead. Just, I mean, the power of disruptors. I love disruptors personally. I think they're so fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, blowing up things is like kind of throwing orange grenades at your opponent and hoping they land on them.
Yeah. Here, catch.
Hot potato.
Yep. Now, I do like that we get to see these new maps being played. I think it's about time. You know, I think I'm happy with the current ladder map pool, but it's always nice to see fresh maps. You know, it's never a bad thing, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's been a long time since we have stuck with the last ladder map pool, and it was definitely time. I think with a new DreamHack season and all, I think it was a great time to pull out the new maps. And you know, I do love these maps just because they're a bit more brighter aesthetically, and so it allows the observer and viewers to see things a bit better. And always better as a player to play on brighter maps, so you know it doesn't seem as gloomy and dark, and you know, not as depressing. I mean, losing games is depressing enough, right?
Yeah. We don't need the game to remind us of that by having a very dark sort of aesthetic. I totally agree. Now, let me ask you, Snoopy, do you do that thing where you adjust the gamma? Because as soon as I started getting into competitive StarCraft, a friend pointed out to me, like, hey, you should probably raise your gamma, especially because you're on a laptop screen of all things.
Oh, wow.
So as soon as I did that, it changed the game. Like, everything was brighter, so I don't know.
Yeah, that's I think that's an option, but because I'm a caster as well, I don't usually change the gamma. And I believe if I'm not mistaken, I don't believe gamma is something you can change if you're on windowed mode. Windowed full screen.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I think the option gets blocked out or something, if I recall correctly. I think it opens when it goes into full screen though. But
right, which is what I have.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I see. Now, the first Oracle is going to get some pretty decent damage, despite the Queens already being in position. It's so funny, because whenever I see, you know, situations like that, it's like, oh, dude, Oracles are so durable. And then in my own games, when I'm playing Protoss, it's like, they disappear in a millisecond. So it's very difficult to judge. So, you know, props to Zoun for being able to take down, I believe, what was it, 4 drones?
Yeah, I believe somewhere around there, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel
and look at this, it's gonna, yeah. So we're gonna have a small Adept follow-up, and of course, knowing how the last game went, I think Zoun is definitely optimistic about his chances. At the same time, he is following up with a Twilight Forge play, so that is going to be something to watch out for. Now, these Adepts are, again... Oh, Jesus. Man, wow. Scarlett, I feel bad for her. Like, this is just not... She's not really having a good time right now. Zoun is just taking down so many drones.
Oh my goodness, even more with these oracles. Stop it, Zoun.
Please! When will it stop? This is emotional abuse, you know, this is too much. Oh man.
Oh man. All Zerg's players around the world is just like grabbing their head and saying, Stop the
madness, please.
Yes.
When will it end?
Stop this massacre.
Oh man. So it's gonna be a Blink +1 follow-up. Oh! Is that Oracle? Okay, finally one Oracle does actually go down. There are 2 more in reserve, but Scarlett... Okay, I do like this move a lot, so we're gonna see the Zerg player going to Bane speed +1 melee up against Blink Stalkers. And of course, Ling Bane is pretty good against Blink Stalkers if the Stalkers are not micro correctly
Yeah, and this is a really large map, so getting links around are going to be pretty good for Scarlett.
Right.
And so, yeah, the blink potential is not as, effective on this specific map.
Yeah.
Compared to a map that has maybe more choke areas where you can kind of decrease the amount of surface area that the links can get.
Yeah, so we can sort of see with for example, the third base wall over at Zoun's third base location, he did wall off completely with the gateways. That's a really smart move. And actually, he's going to be following up with High Templars and Charge. I believe he already completed the High Templar. So actually, both players are going to try to take this to a sort of late game scenario, or late-ish game scenario. We see the Infestation Pit on the way, Archons, that kind of thing. So Zoun actually out macroing Scarlett of all players. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I think you can see the effects of all those drone kills in the early game from those adepts. And,
yeah,
it's kind of adding up right now.
Definitely, for sure. I mean, imagine if those 10 drones were not killed, right now Scarlett would be at 90, right? Oh, and that was pretty unfortunate. Some lings did get caught by the stalkers. So pretty good micro from Zoun.
Oh, looks like there is a Baneling drop here onto the north left side here. Hopefully we'll see that as a even as a Protoss player myself, it's kind of satisfying seeing pros being blown up by things.
Yeah, for sure. It's always exciting.
As an observer, not as a player.
oh, for sure. I mean, when you're suffering from that, it's like, it's overpowered,
Yeah.
Okay, good pro pool from Zoun's third base, so the Banelings are not going to drop out. Oh, look at that. There were multiple drops, so one to the north and one to the southeast. So
yeah, really great reaction time by Zoun. I mean, remember he was attacking while this was happening, so to pull his probes in the midst of getting into battle, that is pretty impressive. And here we go, Scarlett actually taking a really, I think, inefficient fight here.
That was horrible. Yeah. Okay, but that was not. Look at these +2 Banelings doing some. Oh no way! No way! Stop! Oh my gosh, Scarlett getting revenge. Those drones, their energy was channeled into those Banelings, and those Banelings just blew up every single probe in that mineral line.
Yeah.
23 in total going down.
Yeah, that's the power of +2 weapons, or sorry, +2 melee for the Zerg. It only requires one Banelings to blow up those probes, whereas if it was not +2, it would normally take 2 Banelings. So yeah, 23 probes that completely makes up for the earlier probes that were lost, or sorry, the earlier drones that were lost in the early game there.
Yeah, definitely. But I do have to say, this Stalker Archon army is pretty scary. Another Baneling run by, it is going to tax Zoun's APM a little bit, but these Archons are now in front, and that's where they need to be to not only tank, but to deal their splash damage against all of that Ling Bane. Ling Bane is trying to stream on forward. Blinks are going to be forced, but is it going to be enough? Now all that's left are some Lings and some Queens. Ultras are on the production tab, but I think it's too little too late. Look at that, a Zealot run by as well over at the 5th base location. Queens are starting to fall. I think this could be game. I think Zoun's done it.
Yeah, that is it. Zoun's going to take this game.